Welcome to ThinkTech Hawaii Asia in Review on a given Tuesday at the 3 o'clock block. I'm Jay Fidell. Today we have a very special show with three special guests. One is retired Judge Shackley Raffetto, retired Chief Judge of the Second Circuit in Maui. The second one is Professor Chen. Chen.
My family name is Chen.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to pronounce it correctly.
Okay.
Chen, Professor of Law and Director of the Guangchen Law Firm in, there's more. You are also
Guilin,
in Guilin.
Guilin University
And
of
Guilin
Electronic Technology Law School. That's enough.
Okay, that's okay. We're going to get into that in some detail.
Professor.
Okay, and then finally, Ling Qui Jung, the senior partner lawyer in the largest law firm in China, and he is the senior partner for the branch of that law firm in
Kunming.
Kunming. Okay, which is down at the southwest side of China. Okay, what a special treat to have you guys here. I am just delighted. Thank you so much for coming down. Was it easy to find us?
Yes. Yes, we came right down from Judge Ochiai's courtroom, where we've been observing a jury trial.
Okay. So now we are broadcasting on something, Ustream.tv, which is streaming internet, goes around the world, and Spreaker.com, which is streaming audio, also goes around the world. The links for these streams are on thinktechhawaii.com. Immediately after the show, we will post the video on youtube.com, and we will submit it for further broadcast by community television, Olelo, channel 54, in a few weeks. So you will hear about this for the rest of your lives. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
No pressure. Okay, well, first introductions. Let's see, I'd like to begin with Professor Chen. Can you tell us who you are and what brings you to Honolulu?
I'm a law professor from Guilin University of Electronic Technology Law School, and I'm also a part-time lawyer in practice in China. The reason I come here is just want to observe a jury trial really happened in the court of America, so that we can study more about the jury system in details for the further use, I think. Okay, that's all.
Okay, I just have one question. Call it a moderator question.
Okay.
Why?
Because I think the jury system is the best legal system in the world. It helped American and the United Kingdom develop to be a very good country. Maybe I think it's most advanced country and the most peaceful country, harmonious country.
You like our Congress too?
Congress?
Yeah,
yes,
we have a very special Congress.
Yeah, we know the legal system and the political system in America. I think each part of this country are useful and helpful to democracy and the rule of law, I think.
Okay, we're going to study that today.
Yeah.
Let me move on to Mr. Ling Qui Jung. Mr. Yang, can you, maybe with translation if necessary,
Okay.
Chen? Professor Chen,
Yeah.
can you tell us who you are and what you're here for?
Yeah.
OK，
你来这是为什么？
我叫杨明跨，来自中国，我所服务的机构叫北京盈科昆明律师事务所。
My name is Ling Qui Jung. I'm from China, and I'm a lawyer in Yingke Law Firm, Kunming.
我们律师事务所呢，现在是亚太地区成长最快、规模最大的律师事务所，有3000多名职业律师。
And Yingke Law Firm is the largest law firm and the fast developing law firm in Asia Pacific area.
中国有一位著名的上将说过，美国的强大不在于它的军事，不在它的科技，不在它的硅谷，而在于它的法庭。
There's a general in China said, why America is so stronger, it is not because of its economy, it is not because of its
不是它的今世科技和硅谷，在意它的话题。
Not because of its technology, it is because of its cause.
We'll
所以的话，
study that.
就是因为这样，我就来到了美国来学习美国的民结团制度。
So that's the reason I come here to study the jury system of this country.
Okay. So just one moderator question, if I may.
Yes.
What sort of law? What area of law did Mr. Ling Qui Jung study and is practicing in China?
你在中国你是学什么类型的法律，以及在就是说在司法实践当中涉足主要是什么领域？
我涉足的主要是2个领域，一个是刑事司法，就是有关犯罪辩护的。
criminal law.
另外一个方面就是环境保护。
And the other is environmental protection.
所以在环境保护方面呢，也和咱们美国的很多机构，包括佛蒙特法学院，它的环境法技术是世界上比较不错的，所以他们在我们当地也有环境法诊所，我也是他们的合作伙伴。
Regarding environmental protection, and the law firm of his law firm established some cooperation relationship with the law firm in America.
Very important. Yeah.
Okay.
If you have 3,000 lawyers in your law firm,
Yes, more than.
how many of the 3,000 lawyers do you know?
It's a Maui.
那什么？
It's
就是
true.
你知道这3000有多少吗？我说是一支军队啊。
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah.
Judge Raffetto, it's so nice to see you
Sir,
always.
yes, sir. Good to see you.
Here you are doing what amounts to your life's work with these gentlemen. It's so important that we have this discussion. So tell for the record, if you will. There's no court reporter, but tell for the record
Okay.
about your background.
Why are you here? Okay. Well, until about a year ago, I was the chief judge of the Second Circuit in Maui, where I was a trial judge for almost 20 years. And after I retired, one of the things I was very interested in is sharing, if I could, overseas, what I think are the strengths of our legal system, and that is basically the jury system. In my view, it is one of the main reasons we have such strong rule of law in our country. But I also realize that it's very difficult to go overseas and just lecture and tell people that. They really have to see it in action. And so I developed a program to go to China, and I've been there a couple of times doing the jury trial moot using the Chinese law students in 2 different law schools, and we do a jury trial and they serve as the jurors and so on. And that's one way of spreading that. And by the way, they're very enthusiastic about learning about the American legal system. And then one of the lawyers at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing introduced me to Professor Chen via email, and we struck up quite a correspondence. And I expressed to him my interest in coming to his university, and he expressed his interest of maybe coming to the U.S. to observe our legal system. So I said, if you can get here, I'll do what I can to set up a program. And that was, what, a couple of months ago we decided?
Yeah, a couple of months ago.
And suddenly they're here.
Yeah.
Professor Chen really put it together on his end. And I talked to my former colleagues at the judiciary, and they were all really very supportive, including the Chief Justice and Chief Judge Chan over at First Circuit, and Dean Ochiai, who's presiding in the trial that we're watching now. And so I'm going to be a tour guide for a week.
Great.
And we're going to see as much as possible.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. And that's why we're calling this a rule of law exchange with China. Okay. I want to explain, if I could, or I'll have you guys explain, what is it that makes the rule of law issue so important? I mean, is it that there is an appetite for the rule of law in China? Why is it so important to you now?
So, I mean, why is it so important for China to establish a rule of law country? I think maybe 100 years ago, China's ancestors want to search for a new way to govern this country. And at that time, they have contact with the Western countries, for example, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. And they figure out that the most effective way to help our country, to be a peaceful one, and it is rule of law. So they started to study constitution. They traveled to the United Kingdom to study constitution and laws, and then I think gradually there's something very important in common in that country, that to achieve the goal of a rule of law society is most important things for all Chinese people.
So the rule of law is a way that the Chinese can change the way the people are governed. It's a transformational thing. In other words, if you get where you want to go, it's a different China. And then what? People have greater confidence in the government. They have a better relationship with the government. They have more trust. It's more predictable. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Well, maybe, I like, could you ask Mr. Ling Qui Jung his view about what the rule of law means to China today? Does the person on the street feel the same way that you do?
So, 他的问题是，就是你个人怎么认为什么是法治社会？你个人理解。
我所理解的法治社会就是法律高于权力。
What I am understanding is that the law is above the power.
就是说，社会纷争，尤其是国家强权部门，包括像
the social dispute, especially the powerful department of government in the country.
尤其是这个强权部门之间，一旦是老百姓或者是他们强权之间的发生矛盾和纠纷的时候，诉诸于法律来解决。
Conflicts between different parts of government and the individual and the government, then they can resort it to the law.
就是这种情况，就不仅仅是停留在一般的普通的民事主体之间的纷争，那种严格意义上讲是不是一种法治的状态？关键是权力部门之间，就包括像当年呢，戈尔小布什之间，他的总统之争可以由司法的一锤定音。
It is not just limited to civil dispute. It is, I think, extend its, scope to, you mean as a Gore and Bush. The dispute between Gore and Bush, the presidency candidate.
I want to leave you hanging with a question because we're taking a break now.
Okay.
And the question that I would like to discuss after we come back from the break is, this will change the way government works. I mean, if you have a rule of law, it will change the way government works. Is the government okay with that? Does the government go along with that? If you talk to somebody in a position of power, do they agree? We're going to take a short break. I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech Talks, Asia in Review on a given Tuesday, and I'm here with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung. We're talking about a rule of law exchange with China, really important. We'll be right back after this break.
Aloha, my name is Dan Bauer and I'm the General Manager of the Plaza Club. The Plaza Club is Honolulu's premier business club. We're located in the heart of the financial district on historic Fort Street Mall. On the 20th and 21st floors atop the Pioneer Plaza, our commanding skylight views, along with our award-winning cuisine and service, are known as the place to do business downtown. We offer professional as well as social events and programs to our members and their guests, all tailored to enrich their professional and personal lives and to give them the cutting edge that they deserve in business. Why don't you consider becoming a member of the club? Call me at 531-7788 or come see me and let's talk business and how the Plaza Club can work for you. Again, my name is Dan Bauer. I'm the general manager of the club, and I'm here for you.
We're back, we're live, we're here on a given Tuesday with ThinkTech Talks, Asia in Review, discussing a rule of law exchange with China with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Taihei Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung. And the question left hanging was how does the government feel about the the adoption of the notion of rule of law, or the increase of that notion in Chinese law today? And the last we discussed during the break, Judge, was that you wanted to rephrase the question.
Slightly. It is by way of example. For instance, in the United States, we have our Constitution, and that is the supreme law of the land. All other laws are basically subsidiary to that. And we live by that. If the president breaks the law, theoretically, he's governed by what the Constitution says. Is that true in China?
Yes, in China, actually, government officials think rule of law society is very important for both its people and its senior officials and the government itself. And recently, the new government is willing to enforce the Constitution. So there are huge arguments between different persons and different, units about what is the Constitution, how to enforce the Constitution.
The new leader is, in fact, a trained lawyer, isn't he?
I beg your pardon?
The new premier is a lawyer by training. Isn't that true?
I think he has a GD degree in law school, Beijing University.
Okay. So, and I guess I'm also curious as to the people in the street.
Yeah.
Do the people in the street understand what the distinction you're making? Yeah. Do the people in the street go along with it? Are they happy enough to see this kind of change in the way things work at the legal system in China? Do they know about it?
People in the street?
Yeah, the average person.
Average person. Maybe, I think, maybe a part of them, I think.
Not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody. Because it is a diverse society.
Sure.
Okay.
Talking about.
I know the students that I have dealt with, I think, get it. I mean, they first off, they speak excellent English, so you're able to have these kind of discussions, and at least I can understand. Most of them I completely understand when I start talking about these sort of things, and they say that there maybe need some changes in the future, but they definitely want to go in that direction.
So what's the general, conception of what rule of law means and what it would mean in China? We're talking about precedent, stare decisis? What are we talking about in terms of how that would impact the existing system?
Well, Professor, you've told me you're interested in the possibility of the adoption of the common law system, the whole process, not just jury trial. Is that right?
Actually, I think the spirit and the core of the rule of law society is the jury, because I think that the society is consisted of different people. And people have, I think, supreme power to make decision upon any issues happened in that society. So, American legal system use the jury system to, I think, enforce this notion, I think.
Yeah, but to make the distinction, though, right now, is it fair to say that China is a civil law society? It's all written down. There's statutes, lots of statutes.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the cases. In other words, in the U.S., as Judge Raffetto will tell you, everybody is going to read the cases and try to interpret the cases. And of course, the cases will interpret the statutes. Yeah. But are you looking? Do you do that now? Do you look at cases now, or do you merely read the law as it is written?
So I think that is the. I think the conception about what is a rule of law is. So I think all countries follow the European continent law. So they think the law is just the legislation. So what is a rule of law is just OB the statute or legislation from the Congress. So it happened maybe in France and Germany maybe 50 or 60 years ago. But what is the consequence? Is a Hitler there? Okay.
Didn't work very well.
Yeah, it started to work very well. You know why? Because if the law is just the legislation, I think it's totally wrong. So gradually, Chinese people found out what is the law. Law maybe is the people's power to make a decision. So
Okay.
that's the reason we come here
Yeah.
to observe a jury trial and to maybe very few people. Actually, I think a quite quantity of people in China realized the rule of law equal a jury trial.
Yes, well, it's the whole engagement, isn't it?
Yes,
The
it's the whole
engagement between the
engagement.
government and the people.
Yeah.
You know, I think an essential, one of the teachers who teaches Chinese culture here
Yeah.
always says that in China the people reserve the right to differ with the government.
Yeah.
And in fact, to change the government. It goes back thousands of years. So the government has an obligation to do a good job. And part of doing a good job is to
Yes.
engage with the people.
Yeah.
And I think what I hear you saying is an interesting interpretation of it, is the rule of law means that engagement.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right, you have to involve the people in the process.
Yes.
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 And the jury system lets you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely it is, I think.
Yeah, you told me that.
Well, do you think that the Chinese people, you've seen part of a jury trial now, the jury selection in the beginning of the trial.
Yeah.
Do you think people in China could do that? What you saw today?
I actually I'm optimistic. You know, I think gradually, I think Chinese people smart enough to adopt this system.
Sure.
They will, I think, realize what's the benefit and what advantage it has. So there's I think a thing about it. Okay, look at the back of my
Thank
card.
you, thank you, thank you. Yes.
There's no justice if there's no jury. I agree with each.
It's on the back of your card.
翻过去对着对你镜子。
Yeah, okay. This one.
Yeah. Yeah, let me read it too.
Yeah.
It's there is no justice if there is no jury. Let us, the Chinese people, adopt the greatest jury system and keep peace forever. This is really very
Eloquent.
nice.
Yeah, you know, there were so many revolutions, you know, happened in the history of this country, of my country. So I think currently every Chinese just want our country to be peaceful. So we don't want any insurgency, any rebellions, and any revolutions. So this system is very important to keep the society
Yeah.
peaceful, I think.
I think it's a very good idea.
And meanwhile, I think it can help government, help government govern the society as permanently, just like the king and the queen of the United Kingdom. I think they last for maybe nearly 1,000 years.
Well, so I want to tell you about Alison Connor. Alison Connor is a professor at the law school here.
Yeah.
I hope you get a chance to see.
Yeah.
And she teaches in the LLM program,
LLM,
which
okay.
customarily has a number of Chinese students in it.
Yeah.
And she has a collection of films.
Yeah.
She has a collection of Chinese films
Yeah.
from the 20s and the 30s.
Yes.
Back in the day, before the revolution.
Yeah.
And these are, since she's a lawyer and she's a historian, she points out that these films, legal films, show the court system in China in, say, 1930.
1930.
And the defining thing about these films and their portrayal of the court system is that judges are very heavy. Judges are not friendly.
Okay.
Judges destroy lives.
Yeah.
And they crush the people
Yeah.
who are out there. Okay, and I think it's this is a kind of an emancipation
Yeah.
to say that now it's not just the judge.
Yeah.
Now it's a kinder, gentler It's the people themselves can be in the process, and the court system will not crush the people. You know, I think this kind of thing led to the revolution. Actually, what was going on in the courts before the revolution, because it was very unkind. And these movies, which were made at the time, show that they were revolutionary movies. You should talk to her and see the movies. You know,
yeah, they sound very interesting.
Anyway, so tell us exactly what happened in the jury trial that you observed today.
Well, it's in progress. We finished the first couple of witnesses, so they've been watching cross-examination and the use of leading questions and objections and some attempted hearsay testimony. And tomorrow it should finish up. And Judge Ochiai has said that if we're there, that they'll be allowed to speak with the jurors after the
wonderful.
trial.
Yes, great. That'd be fabulous.
Really great.
They're looking forward to.
Yes.
So, you know, Mr. Ling Qui Jung, what questions will you ask the jurors tomorrow?
你明天想问一下那个民决员们一些什么问题呢？
首先就是我想问他们如何来看待他们参与这个司法的过程，他们是以一种什么样的态度来面
So
对它？
at first he want to ask them how they think about the participation in the judicial system.
因为在中国的话呢，有很多人他就说多一事不如少一事，尽量的不要和这个官府惹上什么关系。
People in China don't think it is a good thing for you to take care of more things. They just want to more things, more trouble. Yeah.
所以的话呢，我觉得他们以这个什么样的态度来面对这个司法的过程，包括他们自己去真正的体现一个国家的主人，尤其是在司法领域作为一个裁判者这么一种角色的时候，他们是从内心而言，他们是一种什么样的认识和态度
Okay, it's a long story. I just forget the first part.
That's what you remember.
Okay, I just want to. Can you say again? 这随便。
我说的意思就是说，就是通过他们来参与这个司法的过程，尤其是他们作为一个裁判者，真正的体现一种。
They participate in judicial system, especially they act as judges upon the cases. So what the attitude?
Yes. Well, you know, it's entirely possible. I mean, what did you think of the jury when you saw them today?
Yeah.
Were they attentive? Were they, you know, focusing on the evidence? Were they listening to the judge? Were they trying to do a good job?
Yeah, it's attentive, focusing, and very serious, I think.
Yeah, and Judge Ochiai does a great job. He has a little humor and he has very good rapport with the jury.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is part of a judge's skill in the jury system is that.
Yes, I think Judge, have done a very great job. Yeah.
So, you know, you recognize that it's entirely possible the judge will be, rather the jury will be wrong. Juries are wrong once in a while, no?
Well, it depends on what wrong is, I guess.
Sure, because right is what the jury says.
No,
if the jury says it must be right.
Just you know, I listened to the proceeding. There's a conversation. Use a lot of questions. It's not about whether it is wrong or right. It is about your attitude and about, what you are thinking.
It's the same thing you're saying.
Yeah. Especially for law, because law is, I think, is a social science. So many people think, okay, this thing is right. I think it is right. Maybe sometimes, maybe several years later, they found out it's wrong. Maybe I think they can change it automatically. We don't need a God to tell us you are wrong.
The jury will be fine.
Yeah, the jury will be fine, I think.
Can I expand on it? The way I looked at it was, there are a lot of systems around the world that resolve disputes. I mean, that's the whole purpose of a judicial system, is simply to resolve the disputes that come up in society.
Yeah.
The difference between our system and the civil law system, for instance, is that we engage our citizens in that process. And so we have this tremendous buy-in from our people that into the fairness of the system that you just don't get in a civil law system where people avoid the court system like the plague, and people in Europe tend to view the court system and the government as like the king.
Yeah.
You know, it's us and them.
Yeah.
Whereas here, people, although they may not be super happy to show up on the day that they're summoned, they believe it's their system in the same way that they believe that the legislature's supposed to work for them.
We're going to take a short break. We're about due for a short break, but I'd like to pose the question that we could discuss afterward, and that is, recognizing that in the U.S. some people are not all that excited about serving on juries for time or otherwise, and recognizing that in China this is just beginning to happen now. My question to you is, will the people in China be enthusiastic about serving on juries? Don't answer yet. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a short break. This is ThinkTech Talks. I'm Jay Fidell. On Asia in Review, we're studying a rule of law exchange with China with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor am I going to say it right?
Chen.
Tai Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung of China. We'll be right back after this short break. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech Hawaii, broadcasting live from the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We raise public awareness about tech, energy, and globalism in Hawaii. Technology is critical to our state. A vibrant tech sector will give us new prospects in the global marketplace and will offer great careers and make our economy more resilient. Streaming live on Ustream and Spreaker, ThinkTech allows its hosts and guests invaluable opportunities to report important events and discuss important questions, and to be heard here in Hawaii and around the world. You can find links to our live streams on thinktechhawaii.com or on our mobile website, m.thinktechhawaii.com. And you can see our archive on YouTube. It's all just a click away. We want to do whatever we can to keep Hawaii relevant, connected, and thriving in the complexity of the 21st century. We hope you will help us in those efforts. Tune in today. This is ThinkTech. I'm Jay Fidell. Mahalo. We're back. We're live. We're ThinkTech on ThinkTech Talks in Asia in Review. A rule of law exchange with China with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Tai Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung, who's a senior law partner in the largest firm in China. And they're here to study the rule of law and to study jury trials. In fact, they're observing one right now. I mean, not as we speak, but a jury trial that's going on right now. And I guess my question is, do people in China understand how it is to be on a jury? And if will people in China be enthusiastic about coming to a trial and being a member of the jury? Sometimes in the U.S. they are not, as Judge Shackley Raffetto can tell you, sometimes they're not enthusiastic. But I'm just curious to, what will people, what will people's reactions be in China to come on a jury and sit in a case like you're watching now?
Actually, Chinese people make a big mistake about jury system. Maybe 100 years ago, they just translated the word jury from English into China is a 陪审团. That means actually in English, it should be lay assessor. That I accompany you and I stand, with you, and I, if you go shopping, I just be with you. So I conduct research about this word, and I think it's a wrong translation. So I just translate from 陪审团 to 民决团, which means a group of people make decision upon the cases presented to them. Yeah, so 民 is in Chinese character means is people, lay people, or popular. Okay, and 决 is decision, determination. So it is a group of people making decision.
This is very important for the average person.
Yes. So the fact in China is now more and more people realize that it is a mistake. So more and more people will think 陪审团是错的. 陪审团 is absolutely wrong, and the 民决团 is correct. So I think it's a very good beginning for Chinese people to understand this greatest jury system. So I think it's a very good start.
Yes.
We can get it more and more, I think.
Well, could you ask Mr. Ling Qui Jung what he thinks the jury system, you know, a sort of an American-style jury or an English-style jury system in China would mean to the commercial practice, to the practice of law in his firm? Would it be harder, easier? Would it be better? Does he look forward to that, and why?
认为这个民决团系统如果是在中国的司法实践中边 ，commercial trial。
Yeah, commercial disputes.
可能对于商业纠纷或者公司之间的纠纷，你觉得这个制度会有什么样的 ？What function and what consequence?
Yeah,
yeah, OK。
就是对，
就这个民决团会对这种商业案件或者一些那种其他的那种案件会有什么样的作用？
我认为的话，如果说真正贯彻这个民结团制度的话，对于解决商事纠纷或者是民事纠纷，甚至于刑事纠纷都会有很大的促进和帮助。
I think it will be a very big promotion to resolve commercial dispute and criminal, process and criminal cases. It will be helpful and useful to all kinds of cases.
因为很多法律问题看上去它是个法律问题，但事实上就有关事实的认定，真相的查明，它是需要常识的，这些常识性的东西。
Many questions of laws, I think maybe in the appearance it is just law, but in the essence, it is, I think, common sense. So people should use their common sense to make a decision.
因为在中国的话，很多重大影响性的案子，法官在那个地方审了半天，因为中国是职业法官来审案。
In China, many influential or sensational cases, judges just make a decision.
法官在那里审了很长时间，但是在很多人下来，包括有些专家学者，包括我们律师说的，这个事情其实一个老太婆都会解决的问题，不用在那里搞的司法神秘主义。
And judge spent a long time to investigating, to preside, and to ask a question about this case. But in the reality, maybe just an older woman can resolve this case very easily.
有很多东西都是常识性的问题，就凭常识来判断。
Lot of things are common sense.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I read that in China that a few years ago a system using people's assessors has been adopted.
Lay assessors.
Do you think that's a step in the right direction?
It depends on, I think, what kind of attitude you look at these things. I think, for one thing, people's lay assessor.
Maybe you should explain what it is so the audience understands what that means.
Okay, the people assessors. I think one of the English words is people. So that means the government, I think, emphasize about the people's function in the judicial system. So it may be positive to the jury system. So another important thing is the policy of the Communist Party in China is the mass policy. That means everything you should depend on ordinary people. The mass.
Yes.
So I think the spirit of the mass policy and the jury system are consistent. Okay. Yeah.
The will of the people, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
The jury system fits right into that. It's that engagement that Judge Raffetto was talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect.
Fit engage. I think Communist Party policy.
So there must be someone in the leadership of the government who's thinking about the idea of including citizens in
Maybe,
the,
and I think it will work very well if some senior leaders thinking, okay, it is a good thing, we should at least introduce this system correctly to Chinese population. I think it will work very well.
That's exactly what I want to talk about in the last segment.
Yeah.
We'll take one more break, last one.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll come back and we'll talk about how you actually, bring these lessons, bring this system into China. What steps do you take to make it happen? Who does what? Okay.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this break. This is ThinkTech Talks, doing Asia in Review and a rule of law exchange with China. Today with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung. We'll be right back after this very short break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
We're back, we're live, we're having a great discussion today on ThinkTech Talks Asia in Review about the rule of law exchange with China with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung of China. And the question left hanging was what to do now. How do you proceed? What steps do you take in China to bring this notion, into public acceptance? What's the plan?
I think for me, it is very important to introduce this system to more and more people, as more as possible, I think. Because when more and more people, I think, have a good command of this system, they can understand it. And they can, I think, gradually recognize it. And finally, they can adopt it, I think. They would like to accept it.
So from the point of view of the law schools, and from the the faculty at the law schools, you can give the word to many people, and you're well respected in legal circles and bar associations and so forth in China. So you have a great possibility, a great position. However, my question to Mr. Ling Qui Jung is, what can the law firms do about this? How can the law firms help? Make the jury system part of the fabric of Chinese law.
他的意思是，就说，作为一个律师事务所，怎么能够做些有益的事情，来让中国人就是要认识这个制度，采纳这个制度，这个民决团制度。
其实作为律师事务所有很多事情可做的，像我们律师事务所就包括我自己，我们参与了很多公益性的这个案子。包括就是
participate so many public interest case in this okay
包括这个环境领域的，包括
environmental protection
刑事案件当中的刑事案件，包括死刑
criminal cases
等等，所以
death penalty cases
在这一方面的话呢，就是我们律师事务所就包括我们经常以那种讲座的形式，以及有关案例案件审判过程当中有关公众的参与，因为现在自媒体时代，我们的微博客和这个博客随时把有些案子的进程给它报道出来，然后老百姓呢，他们逐渐现在认识到这个律师对一个社会的重要性，一个法律对一个社会的重要性。
Self media, is this correct?
它不像以前。
Self media, as is referred to Sing Now 微博。There in China maybe.
This same to Facebook.
Twitter. Maybe Twitter in China.
Okay. Facebook.
所以在这方面的话呢，就是现在中国的老百姓，其实他们现在逐步的领会到，如果说我们的司法能够引入老百姓公民的参与，而且公民呢发自内心的有一种来主持正义这么一种理念，
并且把 ordinary people to participate in judicial system，
并且能够认识到我为人人为我，就是接受同类人的审判，或者同等 同等阶层的人的审判，这种理念他们如果逐渐有的话，我相信现在很多包括中国现在存在的司法方面存在的问题会得到相应的改善的。
Jury system will help improve the, I think, situation of rule of law in China.
Yeah. So a law firm with practicing lawyers can, first, the law firm can teach its own lawyers about this.
Yeah.
They can come to the university too, and the university can teach them. But more than that, I suppose a law firm can teach its clients about the jury system.
教他的那个客户。
对，
就包括客户这个明觉谈制度。
对，所以现在我们也是在给当时也在灌输这样的理念，因为我们就包括我自己办理的很多案子，因为当地的国有企业，而且是国有重点的企业，包括我们原来经手的是当地的一个机场集团。我的当时呢是一个因工伤而从给这个机场集团去
injured when he was working.
装修的过程中就从上面摔下来摔死了，但是他又是由第三方
decoration job，
第三方那个承难方
，from the high building，
是第三方来承难了，把这个当时临时早戏高空作业就摔下来摔死了，然后对方当时说他们和法院关系如何怎么样，但是那个案子好在什么呢？有2个陪审员参与了审。
Professor, why don't you summarize,
he said that
what Mr. Young has been saying?
And as the large company, they just boast that I have a very good relationship with local judge and the local court. So you cannot win this case. It's about the injured worker. So fortunately, there were 2 lay assessors.
所以有这2个陪审员参与审了以后，我在庭审的过程中，我就努力的去说服陪审员。
So in the session,
就是站在他们角度，这个还
persuade the lay trier to stand on his side.
如果说这个受害人是你的兄弟姐妹或者是你的子女，你怎么办？
If the victim is your brother or your sister, what do you think?
后来这个案子的话呢，还判得非常理想，就是基本上按照我自己所主张的1分多少的判。
So he get a very, ideal verdict.
这个是出乎我意料的，因为开始我已经做好准备了，因为对方他说法院那些领导和我关系都很好的，和我们集团的关系都很好，你不要想打赢这场官司。
So.
Well, you have to say what he's saying.
Yeah, so that he cannot imagine he can win this case. So it is because these 2 assessors help him.
Yeah.
Can I get context?
Yes.
My understanding of this new system is you have professional judges, and then you have citizens, lay assessors, participate in the same group in the decision-making process. It's a little different than our trial, but they are decision makers, and so he made his trial lawyer pitch to the lay assessors to try to influence the others. Which is great.
That's great.
That's great trial lawyering.
Well, there's one more area we have to cover. We're almost out of time. In fact, we are out of time. But to take a couple of minutes with you, Shackley, and that is what can the Hawaii Bar, what can the Hawaii Judiciary do to help, in the mission that the professor and Mr. Young are engaged in? How can we help them in introducing the jury system to China?
I think 2 things. We can do more of what we're doing right here and invite law professionals from China to come and observe our court system, which is perfect for that purpose here in Hawaii. And I've had great support from my former colleagues, including, as I mentioned, from the Chief Justice on down. So we could do more of that. I think that would be great. We're going to meet with private lawyers on Friday and the former dean of the law school so that there can be some more networking going on. I think that's that cannot be bad for Hawaii to do that. In the meantime, I hope to continue to go to China to provide my informational program and engage the students. And in fact, we're hoping that I'll come to Professor Chen's university in the very near future. The U.S. Embassy is going to be kind enough to provide the funding for that. And their Professor Chen told me there's 1,000 law schools in China, so there's a lot to do.
To say nothing of the law firms.
Yeah, yes, that's a great idea.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing, all of you, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I really love to see our countries come together,
Yes.
you know, and learn from each other.
So do I.
We live in a time when we are actually coming closer together. It's
Yes.
nice.
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot of possibilities, that's for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Professor, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung, and Shackley Raffetto, Judge Shackley Raffetto. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I wish we had more time, but this was a good bite. You know, this was a good introduction to the subject. Maybe we can do it again soon.
Great, great. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is ThinkTech Talks, Asia in Review, and we've been talking about a rule of law exchange with China with Judge Shackley Raffetto, Professor Tai Chen, and Mr. Ling Qui Jung from China, and we have had a wonderful time. We'll be back in a few minutes with a further discussion of Asia in Review, and on with ThinkTech on Ustream. Aloha.